I am Angela.
And I'm Bradford.
Yeah, we've been together for 5 years now.
So we worked together in the States, and we were both, I think, coming out of bad relationships or failed relationships, or however you want to describe it. And we just started hanging out as friends. Our two circles of friends meshed together, and I think that's how we started spending more time together.
Yeah.
So when we first sort of came out to each other, I had been invited by Angela to come down to a beach house, and it ended up being me and five ladies. We were walking along the beach, and of course the subject of sex came up, and then the question was, when was the last time you had sex? And me being me, I thought, I'm going to shock these ladies. I said, with a guy or a lady. And a couple of them were shocked, but I remember looking at Angela, and she just had this delightfully wicked grin. I mean, it was just this wonderful, and then her response was, this morning, I thought you were single. She goes, I am. Wait, what? And so she was like, well, I had somebody spend the night and, before work, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, it just kind of evolved a bit naturally, just in then talking about your partner and, everything that was going on there. And it was just, relationship talk, and it just kind of came out that, we're both, to us, it's more about who the person is, because we're attracted to personalities and to people more than a specific gender. That doesn't really matter as much. So both of us had been married before, and we knew from the beginning that monogamy was not for us.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I remember very specifically, it was, I can almost tell you the date, but I can definitely tell you a bar that we were in, and we were sitting there and we were discussing our relationship. And I said, look, we've been hooking up now for about 4 months, and I really like you and you really like me, and I think we should, take this relationship to something bigger. And she goes, okay. And I went, but I still want to see other people. And she goes, oh, thank God. I thought you wanted to be monogamous. I'm going to marry this girl.
Yeah, so we've been open with each other from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
We knew that monogamy just wasn't going to work with us. And at first it started out in that we would see other people separately and then always come back to each other. And then it just kind of evolved into then playing with couples. Again, it's just we always come back to each other. We're each other's home base.
Well, what do they tell you in relationship counseling? They always say, find something that you both enjoy doing and do it together. And that's what we do. Being part of the LGBTQI community it's hard. That's tough, because oftentimes those letters in the middle get dropped and forgotten. People tend to judge what they can see. And so bisexuality is a very difficult one. You see, 2 men or 2 ladies walking hand in hand, and you make an assumption about that. You see a male and a female walking around holding hands. Again, you make an assumption about that. At the same time, arguably, when I was struggling with my sexuality, I was in my early 30s, looking for resources, trying to find places that I could find answers to, because again, being people, we always assume we're the only ones feeling the way we feel. And so I was desperately looking for a lighthouse or a beacon in the dark, and I couldn't find it. Everywhere I looked, lots of good information out there for lesbian couples or singles, and lots for gay couples or singles. But at the time, there was really precious little for bisexuals, and especially bisexual men.
And to let you know that it's okay, that it's not just a phase you're going through, and there's a whole variety of how bisexuality looks as well. It's not the same for everyone.
Communication is extremely difficult, and we get inside our own heads and we say, I don't feel comfortable saying this because I'm afraid that I'm going to be judged. We have a bad habit, and I say we as in everybody, has a bad habit of playing out conversations in our heads. We'll answer our partner's questions without even asking them. That does a disservice to both of us. I've found it before. I play out something in my head, and if I ask her a question and it doesn't go the way I think it's going to go, suddenly my entire, this entire play that I've created in my brain is starting to crumble and fall apart. Actually asking that question and verbalizing it, that's something that we do.
We always say that if you can ask the question, then I can answer it.
Yeah. The hard part is having the courage to ask a question. A year and a half ago, we started a podcast. It came from that space of looking out there in the world. There was no space for especially bisexual men to find information, and we decided that we should fill that space and with our own experiences. So we created By the By as a podcast, trying to just let people into sort of a window of our relationship.
We talk a lot about experiences that we have, both positive and negative. We had a coming out episode in there where we talked about when we came out and how it was, and especially for you, it was very difficult. And we've had really great response from people, and a lot of people that have contacted us and said, I thought I was the only one, or I was feeling this way. There weren't any resources, I didn't know who to go to, and they just want someone to talk to.
We're always looking for a community. We're looking for people to accept us, and we tend to feel alone. And so what we wanted to do is sort of reach out that hand and say, look, if you're hurting or confused, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need a place where you can talk or know that you're not alone. And so that's what we've tried to do. The future. Gosh, what does our future look like? Well, we proudly just got permanent residency here in Australia, so I can tell you that our future is going to be an Australian one.
We don't plan things very well, so for us, when looking into the future, there's things that we may want, but we just kind of go with whatever comes along and just. Yeah.
We pretty much improv most of life.
Yeah.
It works for us. I've always found that as soon as I lay a plan and I have this, this is what we're going to do, something, screws it up and we end up, going off in some other direction anyway. So yeah, I don't think there is.
We just try to be fluid and go with whatever life throws at us and enjoy it.
Chicka Slim Shady. Sorry.
Funny.
Probably shouldn't have done that on camera.